Good morning, everybody. My name is Derek Salto. This is the Chiron Collective Podcast. This is episode number 4. Let's get into it. Today's episode is brought to you by Echelon. Echelon is a veteran-owned energy drink. It's been around actually for about 3 years, but it's got all the things that you would want in a pre-workout if you choose to use it as so. Take it about an hour before your workout, and you should notice some serious effects from that. We are going into the 4 principles that are going to actually work for your life. So talking into these things, I want you to know a little bit about me. My name is Derek Salto, like you've heard me say before. And I've owned Chiron for almost 12 years. I have 17,000 plus hours of coaching under my belt, along with multiple certifications in the CrossFit field, along with my just collegiate education through UNI with exercise science and sports psychology. I love what I do on a regular day basis. And I told myself the second that this turns into a job is the second that I walk away from it. But it is just something that I enjoy all the time. So here's the other quick things about this. Chiron. Chiron is for the everyday hero. The mom, the dad, going to work, coming home, doing all the things. Like, we're talking everybody. Chiron is community. Chiron was the trainer of heroes in Greek mythology. And if you're reading anything on Greek mythology, you'll learn to know that. And my wife and my mom came up with that name. And it's one of those things where I look back on it and I'm proud to say that they are the ones that came up with it, because it stood the test of time with the people that we bring in, the mission that we want to follow, and all of those things. So other than that, the thing that I want to display to you guys is that simplicity is always going to beat gimmicks and trends. Simplicity and wisdom are always going to beat trends and gimmicks. There are a lot of gimmicky places out there, a lot of gimmicky gyms, a lot of trendy gyms, all of those things. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that work, and there are certain things that are only going to give you a short-term change. So principle number 1 is do more when you can. What that really means is not grinding 24/7. You can't grind 24/7. It's just not possible. You have to know when to push and when you need to recover. And I think something that goes underutilized is recovery. So you have to know how to control the chaos, and you also have to be in a facility that understands how to control the chaos. We have in the gym, we have days where it is a green light day, we have days where it's a yellow light day, and we have days where it is a red light day. Sundays are that red light day. I tell people most of the time it's like do nothing or something active recovery, like a walk or swim or a jog, light jog, something simplistic. But we have days where it's like, hey, the speed here is like 70% effort over a longer period of time. Or there's other days where it's a green light day and it is 100% go from start to finish. Now, intensity is relative. And so that's something that you need to understand too. There's so much more I could go into with that, but I'll leave it at that. Do more when you can, and understand that you need to learn how to push, but then you also need to learn even more so when to recover and listen to your body. The next principle is intensity has layers. How hard? It is not a one size fits all. Everybody, again, intensity is relative. If I have somebody that's trying to get to my intensity and they're not quite there yet with their lung capacity, it is going to be a very short workout for them, as they're not going to feel like they're able to put out as much power over a longer period of time as I could, just because of experience, lung capacity, muscular endurance, and all of these other factors. So you have to make sure that when you're coming into a gym, you have to understand where you're at, and the gym needs to be accommodating to understand that you are not where everybody else is, but everybody else started where you are. That's a big point. The next part of that is there are different types of intensity. There's mental intensity, there's emotional intensity in a workout, and there's physical intensity. The emotional intensity is when you're frustrated to me in a workout, and it is one of those things where it is hard for you to get yourself mentally in check too. The physical part of it with the intensities is those are varying each day. Like I said, the red light, green light, yellow light aspect. So The third principle is the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule means that 20% of the time you're giving yourself whatever you want. 80% of the time your focus is on that goal that you want to meet. And we can't be so consumed by the things that we don't get if we're not focused 80% of the time. If you can continuously challenge yourself to be focused 80% of the time, that is going to change you over the long term of your fitness journey. Filtering out noise and how to train with purpose. When I stopped being so serious about everything, that is when everything changed. Everything exploded. My fitness shot through the roof. My physicality developed. My strength developed. All of these things came into place. All I wanted to do today is give you guys 4 quick points. This wasn't to go deep dive into it, but eventually in later episodes we will. And so it's important for you to understand that you have to make sure that you filter out all of the noise, all of the comparison, all of those things. She can do this. Why can't I do this? And just understand this is where you are and this is where you want to go. That is how you will change. That is how you'll take that mindset focus and it'll help project you into the future because you're not focused on what you can't do. You're focused on what you want to do in the future, but you're not comparing. The next part of this is consistency is greater than perfection. Perfection is not possible. We already know this. There's only one perfect man, and that's Jesus. But other than that, the reason people don't win is because we're so focused on being perfect or our standard of perfect that when we don't meet that, it's almost like a letdown and it's like I disappointed myself and it's this vicious cycle and I see it all the time. Consistency just means showing up at bare minimum 20 minutes a day, have a protein with every single meal, get decent sleep, at least 7 hours of sleep. Like tell yourself, set an alarm and understand if I do those 3 small principles, that's going to actually make all these 4 principles so much better because I'll have better mental clarity too. But consistency is always going to beat perfection. Show up for yourself because it's what you deserve. Eat better because it's going to make the result that much greater. If I'm showing up to the gym, I don't want to have a Big Mac with a large fry and a large soda because I know that that is going to be a detriment towards the overall goal. Now, am I saying that you can't enjoy those things every once in a while, that 20% rule? Of course you can do those things, but you have to understand where you're going. If I understand where I'm going, then I don't want to have too many paths that are going to leave me off of it. And so understand that consistency to show up for yourself has got to be a big focus for you. So on the flip side of that, the power of showing up, even when it's messy, is one of the most powerful things that you can do. We tend to tell ourselves that if we aren't perfect, then you've completely failed. And it's like, oh, this is what I do. This is just always what I am when I'm going for something. I always kick myself off the path or whatever it may be. But it's like, you have to understand that the simplicity of showing up is the easiest thing. I shouldn't say easiest, is the hardest thing that you'll have to do. But when you do it, and even if it's small little bits at a time, it'll add up. It increases its value. It grows, right? It's like nobody started off running. Everybody had to crawl, and then they stood up, and then they balanced, they walked, and then they jogged, and then they ran. Everything is about consistency. But following that up with sustainable routines that are going to fit your lifestyle. Not everybody is able to hit it hard like I am or like some of the people in here are able to do every single day. Some people need more rest time. And that's where it's important to make sure that you listen to your body, know when to push and know when to recover. So coming back to the principles. Number 1 is do more when you can. Number 2 is intensity has layers, meaning it is not a one size fits all. Number 3 is the 80-20 rule. Focus on filtering out the things that you can't control and focus on the things you can control. The 80-20, eat well, train hard, most of the time, but leave 20% for the things that you really enjoy outside of that spectrum. Then the other part of it is the consistency is greater than perfection. When you hold the principles of having a goal and wanting to achieve that goal and understanding that it's only going to get better the more consistent you are, then your goals will line up with that and your consistency will start to match that. Again, I've said this so many times before, but motivation dies. Discipline will be created through consistency. And when you consistently show up, that shows that you are being intentional with what you do. And that is how you become better. That is episode 4 of the Chiron Collective podcast. Have a good one.